Hi, my name is Kev Lavery. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at making a music video. We're going to be cutting to the beat, utilizing the slip tool, making a title, and a couple of other effects. So first things first, we need to get a new project started. So we need to make sure that we're saving it in the right folder with the rest of our project files. And we need to give it a name. Alright, so I'm going to open up my project window down in the bottom left hand corner, and as it suggests, I'm going to import some media to start. So I'm going to right click, select import. First thing I need to get started is my audio, as it's a music video, also my footage, which is in a separate folder. So I have a range of clips here that I got off Pexels Video. They're all kind of thematically linked to the city. One of the things about making a music video is you generally need a lot of footage as you are cutting to a beat, which means more cuts than you would traditionally do. I've got a piece of music that's relatively slow paced, which will make it a little bit easier for me. But keep that in mind when you're selecting your videos, as well as when you're selecting your piece of music. I've got my setup set to tiled, which makes it a little bit easier than this view of list view, especially if you've gotten stuff from somewhere like Pexels and haven't renamed it. I'm going to right click on the clip that I want to start with, which is this skateboarding clip. And I'm going to select New Sequence from Clip. And what this will do is set up a new sequence for us, utilizing the properties of that clip, which is 1920 by 1080 and 25 frames a second. So it means my project's set up already ready to start with the settings that I want. Alright, and I should also put my music in. So I'm going to scroll up, grab my music, drag that in too. A good idea when you're working on a project like this is to set your playback resolution down. This will make it a little bit quicker for you to work. It'll make it a little bit easier on your computer's processing, which means you'll be able to do a little bit more. Depending on the computer you're using, this can be really helpful. Alright, so I want this to start when that comes in. So we're going to have to use these sliders here to zoom in. I'm going to look right down at this waveform. We're also going to make the waveform bigger by mousing over the middle spot between A1 and A2 audio track. And we can see now these peaks right here, these will be that hi-hat sound. So that one there is the first one. I'm going to get my razor blade tool and cut directly on that line. You normally wouldn't cut on an audio track like this, but in a music video it's fine because you're not going to delete anything out of the audio track. You're using those cuts there as your guides. The music will play fine over the top of a cut as long as nothing's moved. So that cut means that my snapping tool can then snap things to that. I should zoom out a bit before I do that. Snaps right to it. So now the shot starts exactly when that cut started. But I do have a problem, and this is our first use of one of our other tools. I don't like the way that this starts. It starts really slow. Skateboard doesn't actually start moving until a couple of seconds in. So first thing I'm going to do is take a bit of space off the end, which will give me more room to work with. So then I'm going to use the slip tool to move the clip within the parameters that we've already set. And so what this will do is move the section of the clip that we're actually utilizing. So I can have that skateboard moving when the clip starts. Alright, perfect. And that's got the foot coming down on that next bit as well, which is pretty good. Let's just make it perfect. Great. It also needs a little bit of, we've lost that fade to black that occurred at the start when the clip was a bit darker, so we're going to artificially put that in with a video transition dissolve. I'll put a cross dissolve in there. Extend it out a little bit so it's nice length. Alright, so this is our next bar here. We're going to extend that clip out to it. We want our next video, which is going to be a girl walking. Front on step of her first. I'm going to double click on it, open it up in the source frame. I'm going to select an area where instead of using the slip frame this time we know what we want her to hit on. We want her foot to be about to hit the ground, which will give us movement that will carry through into this scene. Give her a couple of steps. I'm not really that concerned about the out point, it's my in point that I'm most concerned about. And I'm going to drag video only because I don't need any of that audio, saves me getting rid of it later. Alright, looking good so far. Now we need something that she's walking towards, which will be this gentleman here that's waiting. Let's just check to get the right spot in the song. It'll do. Let's zoom in, make sure we're just on that bar. So basically these large peaks that have a slower degradation, they'll be the bass notes. So we can use this to get the bass notes hit at the start of each bar. Nice and easy. Grab an in and an out. So I'm not using the whole thing. Cool. Zoom back out. Stand our girl walking. Alright, and so we'll get her back to her on the next bar. That's it there. You use the arrow keys to get back to just the right spot. I'm starting to even be able to tell from the peaks just in this far away shot. Double click. Again, we're looking at her stepping on the beat. Preserve that movement through. Just grab just the video. Alright, so now we need to get to something else. For that vocal to come in, we want that vocal to come in on these birds, and we want it to come in when these birds take off. Let's find where they take off, that's it. So we need a little bit before that. Mark it in, and that can be our out. This is going to be our final shot of this clip. Drag just the video over, and I'm going to put it underneath. Pull this one back a little bit. Just get those birds right in the right spot using the slip tool again. Now I'm going to extend that clip back out. And on the second half of this clip, we're going to put a strobe effect on. It's a really simple effect, but it's used in music videos a lot. It's a pretty good effect. It'll give us a simple keyframe to do as well. So I'm going to chop there. So I'm only putting on half this clip. I don't need it on the whole thing. In effects, I'm going to search for strobe. If you don't know the name of the effect, you can always just search for it. I'm going to drag it onto that clip. The whole thing goes white and a red bar too because it needs to be rendered. But I'm going to double click on it. It's going to open in the source window. We can go into effect controls. First thing we want to change is strobe operates on color only. We want to change that so it makes the layer transparent. That means that we'll see the layer below. The strobe duration at the moment isn't great. As is the strobe period, so this is going to go. The strobe itself will flash on for half a second, and the period between strobes will be 1 second, which is not great. So we'll take that right down to 0.1 of a second. And we'll set this at 0.3. Leading up to the space, I want it to go full on. So I'm going to take it from a strobe period of 0.3 here. And in the next frame, so I'm going to use the playhead positioning here to take it to 3802, which is 1 frame on from it. I could have tried to mouse over that, but this will be a little bit better for me. And take it down to 0.15. So that'll make that strobe go faster again. I'm going to render it by pressing enter. And then let's have a look and see how it goes. Alright, worked well. There are a couple of other things you can do, like the blend with the original, what the strobe uses to make it work. The final shot. And extend this out. This is my final shot. And I'm going to cut the music. Chuck a fade out on both of them. And clear this. Search for a dissolve. Clear it. Grab an audio crossfade. Done. Last thing we need is a title just at the start, and then we'll pop a quick adjustment layer on there. So we're going to click and drag everything. It's going to make a marquee. Drag it all up. Making sure that it moves 0, 0, which means it doesn't move any frames. And I'm going to, back on my project one, in this new item window down the bottom, select a color matte. My color matte that I'm selecting is a straight black. Drag it in, drag it over because it needs to go under that whole crossfade. And then I'm going to put a title on top. Select the text tool, play heads at the start. I'm going to have my title start at the start anyway. Drag to make an area in the window. I'll use our text options. And select one of my Typekit fonts, so I'll use my Typekit filter. I'm going to use Schlop. I like Schlop, but I like it extra sloppy. Let's make it nice and big. We'll have that at least just stop when that next note comes in. Zoom back in. See where it is. That works quite well pacing wise. Alright, last thing we're going to do is add an adjustment layer on top. This is a way that we can do a color corrector over the top of the whole project, nice and easy. A new item, adjustment layer. Like our title one, I'm going to click and drag it out, but this one's going to cover the whole project. Now, any effect I put on this is going to go over everything. And I can then put a further effect on this to change how much it affects it. So I'm going to do a really simple black and white. So let's turn everything black and white. Now, not too much black and white. What we're going to do is, with that black and white on, we're going to use the blend mode. These blend modes are the same as they are in Photoshop, so if you've used them in Photoshop, you'll understand how they work here. What that's doing is giving us, blending that black and white clip over the top through everything. So we get a nice cinematic effect. To export, we go File, Export Media, or you just press Ctrl M. We're going to leave it on H.264, which is one of the better codecs and more accepted on most stuff. And we're going to use this Vimeo 1080p preset. Let's make sure that we name it because we haven't renamed our sequence. It's just coming out the same name as our sequence. If you select Q, it'll send it over to Media Encoder, which means that you won't lock up your Premiere Pro with this project exporting. You'll be able to keep working on other stuff. But for now, we've only got one project to work on, so we're going to export it out. And that's it.